So for this project, I'll be using the layers panel extensively. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up and away to give it some more real estate on my screen. Another thing I like to do is use the layers panel menu to increase the size of my thumbnails. Choose panel options and then select the largest size. Open the image that you want to work on by going to File, Open, and then navigate to the image that you want and click Open. I'm using this image of my grandparents. The first thing that you want to do is check for the color mode. If it says RGB, you're okay. You can begin working. But if it says anything but RGB, then you need to change it. Mine says gray, which means that it's a grayscale image that doesn't have any color information and won't hold color if I try to add some. To change the color mode, you're going to go to Image, Mode, and choose RGB from the menu. That's it. So here's some brush tool basics. The brush always paints with the foreground color. The default colors are black and white. I can switch between the foreground and the background colors by hitting the little set of bent arrows next to the foreground background colors. You can also hit the X key on your keyboard to do this. I can change the size of my brush and the hardness of the brush edge in the brush menu at the top of the screen. You can also use the square brackets next to the letter P on your keyboard to change the size. If you hold down the Shift key with the square brackets, it will change the edge hardness. I also want to show you your flow and opacity sliders. They both affect how dense the brush stroke will be. Flow is more like a spray paint can. It builds up if you click and hold and then continue to paint in the same area. Opacity is a little bit different. It builds up with multiple mouse clicks. Here's the history panel. So I painted directly on my image when I was showing the brush. I'm going to go ahead and use my history panel to go back in time before I messed up my image by painting on it. The history panel will record up to 20 steps by default. I can go back in time by clicking on the name of the step that I did. So I want to go back to where I changed my color mode and begin from there. About painting. Now there's lots of different ways to do anything in Photoshop. Painting is no different. The way I'm about to demonstrate is my favorite. I always encourage my students to take what I show in class and then build off of it using their own research and methods. So we'll be building up solid color adjustment layers. I like to use this method because 1, it's non-destructive. 2, you can easily adjust the color after you've painted. 3, we'll be learning about masking at the same time that we work. I'm going to add my first color layer by going to the adjustment layer menu at the bottom of the layers panel. It looks like a half black, half white circle. After clicking, I'm going to choose solid color from the menu. I can choose my hue from the slider on the right and the value and saturation from the palette on the left. Don't worry if you don't like the color at first or if it's not the exact color that you need. We can change it later. That's the beauty of using this technique. Click OK once you've made your initial selection of color. So it's not impressive now, it's just a solid block of color. Next, we will change the blending mode of the solid color adjustment layer. The blending mode determines how the layer will blend with the layers that are below it. Change the blending mode from normal to color. This is looking better. The color is now mapped to the gray tones underneath. Where there's a light gray or a white, the color will be lighter or white. Where there's a dark gray or black, the color will be darker or even black. Pay close attention here because you will need to be aware of where you are targeting on the layer. You can target either the adjustment, in this case it's the solid color, or you can target the mask on the right hand side, which is the white rectangle. In this case we want to target the mask. Make sure each time you begin to paint that you have the mask targeted on the layer. Now, I've targeted the mask. I'm going to invert the layer by hitting Command-I on the keyboard, Control-I on a PC. This is going to go ahead and flip the mask from white to black. This is an important concept to grasp going forward. Anytime you have a mask, you'll be able to see what's on the layer if there is white on the mask, and it will hide what's on the layer if there's black. To reveal the color where I want, I'm going to go ahead and grab my brush, and I'm going to make sure that I'm painting with white. So I'll have white as my foreground color, and I will paint with white. So now I'm just going to go ahead and paint with white while I have the mask targeted on my layer. As you can see, now the color will start to show up anywhere I paint. If you look at my mask, the white is showing where the color shows up. So the concept of masking works the same way, whether you're using an adjustment layer or an image layer, which we'll do in future lessons. Remember, white on the mask will reveal what's on the layer, and black on the mask hides what's on the layer. If you make a mistake and overpaint, just switch back to black as your foreground color and paint to mask and hide the color. If at any time you want to adjust the color, target the color rather than the mask and double click on the color. This will take you back into the adjustment and you can choose a different color. So now we've already done the hard part, which is the masking. We can refine the color till our heart's content afterwards. Again, this is why I like using this technique. It provides maximum flexibility for making refinements after you already have done the painting. You can adjust the opacity of the layer with the opacity slider. So now between the choice of color and the opacity, I have quite a bit of control to get the exact color that I want. If you want to continue masking, it's very important that you always remember to target the mask before you start painting. So now I have her coat painted and I want to add a new color and paint the bag. The steps for adding a new color are exactly the same each time. You're going to go to the adjustment layer menu, the half black, half white circle at the bottom of the layers panel, choose solid color, then choose the color that you want. Remember, you can always change it later, and click OK. Change the blending mode of the adjustment layer from normal to color. Invert the mask by targeting the mask and pressing Command-I, Control-I on a PC. Paint with white where you want the color to show up. Repeat these steps until you paint the entire image. You can always adjust the opacity of the layer by adjusting the slider and making the color more subtle. So again and again, you will repeat these steps until you have the image completely painted. Remember, if you make a mistake and put a color where you don't want it, just paint with black on the mask. Be careful about which color you want to add or to take away, and always target the mask while you're painting. Saving your image. So obviously I have some more painting to do, but let's just go ahead and pretend that I am completely done with my project. To save your master file, go to File, Save As. Call the file your last name _ A2. Click OK if you get the Maximize Compatibility window. Please follow the instructions for saving your discussion board files in the How to Save Your Assignments page.